Welcome, welcome, welcome. You're listening to KHTS 1220 and 98.1 FM. And I got my great, wonderful co-host, Alex Grossman. Alex, are you there?
Mr. Brian Johnson, I see you're still working on an announcer voice, and it is true, it's possible that the Worldwide Wrestling Foundation will call you soon. So,
well, I'm also getting lessons from the boxing world because they're telling me that I'm not boxing well enough on my intro, so I'm going to have to learn how to get some real professional boxing moves. They say I cover myself up pretty well, and I'm hitting the man on the other side, but I'm not really doing a good enough job. Haven't been able to cut him or knock him out yet, so I'm going to get some lessons on that so I can really get that going. That's my big goal for the next couple of weeks. And we do have a great guest coming up, but before we get into her and speak to the audience about her, I want to go over a couple of things. For anyone that is unaware, this is the Ask Brien Radio Show, and that's ASKBRIEN, because there's only one way to spell Brien. It's BRIEN. There's no such thing as IAN or YAN. That's just a fictitious thing that some guy came up with, but most people spell the name BRIEN. And if you don't believe me, go to Ireland. Ask them how they spell Brian. They're always going to say, O'Brien, OBRIEN. And this is the Ask Brien Radio Show. Ask Brien is basically a concept that was created 2 years ago. And the concept is this. We want to solve business problems. So we came up with a website, and initially we had a community where business owners would ask business questions. So someone that owned a dry cleaner in Alabama would ask somebody that owned a dry cleaner in Washington. Somebody left their fur coat in my store, and I don't know what to do, and I don't want to call a lawyer, and I don't want to spend a lot of money, but do you have an answer? How would you handle that? So many people had experienced the same issues in the same vertical industry, and that's how the Ask Brien website started. Since then, it has expanded and now allows experts to qualify and become an expert on the Ask Brien website. In order to do that, we typically look for people that have a minimum of 10,000 hours in one specific area or subject matter so that we know that they've got some background, some experience. We also look for accolades and awards or standings or press reports or suggestions or recommendations by other knowledgeable experts, all looked at and reviewed to determine whether or not somebody can become an expert. Experts are allowed to post videos, post their blogs, post ebooks, and also post their webinars on a calendaring system so that people can come and review webinars or calendar their webinars on their own calendar systems at any time. And then, of course, this is all feeding into the Ask Brien Radio Show, where each week we select somebody to be teach a business lesson to our audience. And we also always are looking for suggestions. So if somebody has one, always go through Ask Brien website, AskBrien.com, and you can contact us with a suggestion or recommendation. We'll look into that and see whether or not that person can qualify to be on our show. We also work with publicists throughout the country and have a wide network of people within our own system. So, without further ado, we have a very, very special guest. She has a very, very interesting concept of balancing, and I'm going to let her go into that. I call her the Triathlete Businesswoman of the Year, and I know it's starting out this year, but she's on the line. Jill Tupper. Jill, are you there?
I'm here.
Well, we're excited to have you on this show, and before we get started, not everybody knows you like Alex and I, who have had a couple of sessions with you. But so let's go through your background a little bit. First of all, what was your first? What's your background? What was your first job that you really had a substantive job? And any job is substantive. I mean, even delivering newspapers is a substantive job. But when I talk about the real world or whatever, I generally speak of either in an office or somewhere where you restarted your career. What would you consider to be your first job?
Well, I have my bachelor's in occupational therapy. So that is where my love for the body and how the body operates and works really was birthed. And so I was an occupational therapist, really enjoyed working with spinal cord patients. That was something that really thrilled me, people that were athletic, that were dealing with major obstacles now in their lives. And then I went on to get my master's in leadership, and I've kind of brought those all together in what I call the Corporate Triathlete Leadership Training.
And so that was you basically started out right away in occupational therapy, and then you went and created this triathlon business program?
No, it really evolved over time. So after occupational therapy, I went into an organization that's national, international called Young Life, and I ended up working with national, international people speaking around the globe, and then started an actual organization and founded it in the urban core. And so I just had this thirst for all people reaching their potential, and had the opportunity to work with every type of human for the most part. And that continued to evolve into my motivational, inspirational speaking, and then that ended up moving into my master's in leadership, understanding, I believe, honestly, that we lead ourselves first, and that I was not only interested in being a leader others wanted to follow, I wanted others to understand that ultimately is the greatest. There's no strategy. It's about being the leader others want to follow. And through that, ended up becoming an adjunct professor at the Rady Business School of Management at UCSD, and that unfolded into the Corporate Triathlete Leadership Training Program that's certified through UCSD, Rady Business School of Management.
So when you say certified, does that mean it's part of a degree program?
It is. It's part of a certification program. So I go into companies like a Boeing or Edison, so I'll go into a company or an executive team, and if they want their people to walk away with an actual leadership certification from UCSD Rady Business School of Management, then there are certain criteria that we need to meet in order to do that. And as a result, they can, through my Corporate Triathlete, have a leadership certification. We also make it, I can do it in 1 hour. I can do it for an executive team in a half day, whatever is customizable. But if you really do want the certification from UCSD, then there's certain parameters that we need to follow. And
so as far as those parameters go, is there a minimum amount of hours that you have to take?
Often with any kind of educational system, there are. Typically, it's around 40 hours. And the cool thing about it is, when I go in and do it for custom for an organization, we might choose to do it over a weekend on location somewhere. So there's all kinds of creative ways that I can download that material. It's highly experiential, very much engaging. We're in it together. It's not just a download of material. It's you walk out of that with your definition of well-being, not somebody else's, right? That we've got enough of people saying this is what well-being is. No, I help people go through a process where they discover for themselves what their definition of optimum well-being is in their body, in their mind, in their business. And then I take people through a proprietary process to be able to link those, bring those into sync, but that they're applicable to them, value linked to what matters to them.
So is there a standard program? So for instance, let's say you wanted to go to askbrien.com headquarters and give a certification, and let's say we decided on 2 hours, okay, or 5 hours. So I imagine that depending on the amount of hours that somebody wants to go through this program, that's how you determine the syllabus and the agenda. Is that correct?
Yeah, it has to be, a body of people, right, that you would, yes. But ultimately, the goal is to help do all you can to bring it all into sync. And to me, that's what people kept saying for a long time. Frankly, they said, pick a lane, Tupper. Are you the body? Are you the mind? Or are you business? And I said, yes, I am. Because what I see under this and why this is the corporate triathlete is the bottom line is, as a triathlete myself, I've done 7 tries and 5 marathons and some outrigging and rock climbing. So I love to challenge myself, body and mind. But what you realize is that honestly, you've got to swim, bike, and run to cross the finish line, right? And most triathletes are great at one sport. Man, they can run. They've got that down, but they could drown on the swim, right? They're just awful. So typically you've got one sport you're great at, one sport you're not bad, and one you just suck. You're awful. You cannot even, but the key is with business and our own as entrepreneurs and small business owners, we got to juggle it all. And yet most of us have a propensity to have one that's better than the other. And then often we're out of sync. So it's never about bringing it into sync for perfection, but it's practice, doing all you can to make sure, especially as small business owners, we're working ungodly hours often, and we totally wear down our bodies. Often people are adding on poundage and emotionally eating for obvious reasons. And we're out of balance. And so then we don't have the energy and the stamina to continue to go the distance. So ultimately, my passion and work is about bringing all of this together, which then decreases stress, increases productivity, increases profitability, but it's an inside-out approach.
So before we get into the program, and by the way, Alex, are you there?
Yeah, and Jill, I was going to comment here that I got my exercise for the day by nodding my head so many times to what you're saying, because having been an entrepreneur,
that's not true. You're eating an ice cream cone. I saw you. Go ahead.
Well, that too, but it does resound. It resounds heavily where we all are as entrepreneurs and small business people, where our work-life balance just goes out of whack because it's up to us. We got to do the job. The buck stops here, right? And most of us are trained. We're trained in what we do, right? We spend the time being good at what we do, if it's selling something or building something. But really, when it comes to knowing all of it, the stresses come on. I mean, 90% of everything that bothers me, it always comes down to stress related, right? Got a sore neck, this hurts, that hurts. In the end, if de-stress, I'm fine.
You aren't, and Harvard Business Review says this, that 550 million work days are missed each year due to job-related stress.
Wow.
I mean, it's crazy. Wow. Stress in the workplace is costing U.S. businesses over $300 billion annually. And 95% of the reasons people go to doctors in the first place are stress-related issues. So it's epidemic proportions. And we all know in our knower, is what I say. We all know what to do. It's just when you don't value link it, when you don't get it into the hardcore of what matters most to you and why, you're not going to be motivated to go the distance. Or people trip up a lot. And, I talk about stick with it. I only allow people after a 40-hour course with me to walk away with a stickum, one sticky. And I want one thing in the body, one thing in the mind, and one thing in your business, and that's it. I don't want more than that can fit on that stickum. And the point being is the mind then gets overwhelmed, and then we shut down. So instead of opening ourselves to actually making some small shifts, some small significant steps, we think we've got to tackle all of it. And what we've done is we've shut the brain down and we've created our own resistance.
So
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
I have a quick question before. First of all, we're listening to KHTS 1220 and 98.1 FM. So my question is this, and this is a common concept. You're an entrepreneur. You've got 5 or 6 people. You got to do 500 things. You can't balance because you've got so many things to do. You've got to get that last sale out. You can't pay your rent next month. So you've got so many things on the plate. How do you handle that? How do you balance when you've got all those things going on? You're trying to pay your rent. You're trying to do everything, and it's very hard for people to balance. How do you solve that problem?
Well, this is really the essence of everything I'm talking about, is that you've got to get down to recognizing that we all have a certain capacity, and that when we overstress the capacity for a significant period of time, our physical body shuts down, creates issues, our minds are overwhelmed, and our minds can no longer determine what's a priority. So part of the challenge we have is we think going faster, revving up stronger, shoving more, faster, that we're going to get better. We actually get worse. And if you look at true athletes, we're talking professional athletes that really know their work, or you're going to go do a triathlon. If I go into that tri exhausted, forget it. I might as well hang it up. You've got to rest. You've got to recoup. And sleep. These are things that are like as vital and as important, because then your training can go farther. Your muscles can re-strengthen and refuel. So what we don't do is we just keep expending energy before we've refueled it all. So I get it. I've been there. I've been in adrenal fatigue. I've started my own work in the urban core and was working 80-plus hours a week, and the need was so great, and it only got greater. And until I started backing up, which is really the essence of why this was birthed, I had to do something because I couldn't sustain it. And then who are you really taking care of? You then are abandoning not only your business, but your family, whoever else is important to you. So I don't think we have an option. We're human, and we were designed, we got to do updates on our computer, but we don't think we got to do updates on ourselves. And it's never about doing it perfectly. That's just bogus. It's just about making sure there's something consistently you're doing for your body daily. And I find people that will just tackle one thing. Like they might just decide to drink more water, but we value link that. And then before you know it, in a month's time, they're thinking more clearly, their body's functioning more often, they've lost some weight, and they're able to see priorities better. I mean, you can't underestimate small changes.
Yeah, I think that value linkage piece is really important. I mean, we all tend to overemphasize how much we think we can do, right? I used to, when I was younger, and I took a number of courses in business management. We started with the yellow pad of paper, and it was like always write down your to-dos daily. And I found that before I got myself organized and really knew, I would be on page 4 of my to-do and not checking off page 1 on the list, right? And I would. And I think it's common of a lot of people, and then they just throw page 1 away and go, well, that's so long ago, I can't get it done. So I love the idea of just taking that Post-it and putting one goal on there. And I mean, body-wise, just drink more water, get more sleep, do these things that you need to do. It's interesting talking about that, because here we are when people are making their New Year's resolutions. Right. How many people join a gym? Or the better one is go out and buy exercise equipment. And February 1, if you want to go buy it, February to March, it's all over Craigslist, right? And eBay, because people gave up, right? Because they tried to do too much. I'm going to work out, 6 days a week. It's just crazy. So now I see why you're so in need as a motivational speaker and in demand. You've got me really, really. I wrote that note about my one thing I need to do today. So it's fantastic.
And what is that one thing?
I'm going to drink more water. Believe it or not, she was right on the money. I don't do that all day long.
All right, I love it. And then take a bottle with you, your bottle, so you know, and then you just slowly increase the amount. And before you know it, you're used to it, and you've always got your water bottle with you, and you're not even damaging the planet with those nasty plastic bottles that are filled with little particles of plastic we're consuming. I mean, there's so much that can be done by just refreshing the brain. If you look at just watering a plant and how it transforms a plant, that's what we need to be doing on a consistent basis.
So we only have about 2 minutes, so we're going to go through very, very quickly. When you talk about this triathlete concept with the mind and the business, etc., try to go over quickly, maybe 45 seconds apiece for each one of these functions. So let's start with the mind.
Okay, well, I'm going to start with the body.
Okay.
And here's why. Because it's easier to see a shift that begins to happen in the body once I really encourage people to start with the body. Because it's just easier to move forward with it. So really what that does is unleash the power that's beginning with the mind and body connection. All right, that you begin to realize energy is a currency. And if you don't have it or you can't sustain it, you will not be a success long term. Your business may get there, your marriage may fall apart. Your business may get there, but your health has gone to hell, So what I do in the body is I take people through a value-linked process, help them learn to observe what they're already doing. And a lot of this is the neuroscience. So I want the brain to recognize what's already happening. And then once they recognize that, there's more motivation and forward movement. And this is all statistically proven now, which is crazy and exciting. And then we establish a very simple personal wellness plan for peak performance. So that's the body. When you start with the body, you start to see or feel some shift, and then you go to the mind. And the mind is learning to shift obstacles into opportunities. And what I see happen all the time is, okay, we go to the gym, or we might go on a run, or we might go outside or do a walk, but our minds are still freaking back at our desk or at our computer or even down on our phone. So any athlete, if you look at any athlete that's training, where is their mind when they're on the court? You know, if their mind isn't on the moment, present fully with what their body is doing, they will fail. You're not going to have an Olympic athlete jump onto the balance beam and say, whoa, okay, so I'm thinking about what I had today to eat, or I'm thinking about that email I got to respond to. That we are sapping so much necessary energy because we are not allowing the mind to relax into the present moment with the body. So that really helps you start to transform stress.
All right, we're gonna have to hold off right now. We'll be right back. So hold your thoughts, and we'll be right back.
Little I Leaders is the newest preschool in the Santa Clarita Valley. At Little I Leaders, our outstanding teachers lead with intellect, perspective, and heart. That means our programs provide a warm, nurturing atmosphere to meet the unique needs of each child. We believe that play is a powerful form of learning for young children. That's why our kids have every opportunity to learn through the magic and excitement of play. Parents, schedule a tour today by calling 303-0400 or online at littleileaders.org.
Something big is coming to Castaic.
Is it a dinosaur, Bob?
No, Blanche.
Is it the 2020 Olympics?
No.
I know. We're finally hosting the World Cup.
No, silly. They're building Castaic High.
Bob, no way.
Go visit CastaicHighProject.com. You'll get all the latest details.
What's that web address again, Bob?
CastaicHighProject.com.
Again?
CastaicHighProject.com.
Bigger than a dinosaur?
That's right. CastaicHighProject.com.
Have you heard about Assistance League Retail Store? For a good time and a great deal and bargains that are an amazing steal, there are friendly volunteers ready to share a smile. So come on in and stay a while. We take donations on gently used goods, and proceeds from our sales stay in the neighborhood. So for a great buy and a special find, come visit our store anytime. Assistance League Resale Store located at 24369 Main Street in downtown Newhall.
If you're in danger of losing your home to foreclosure, you need an expert. Hi, I'm Rich Sherman with Alta Realty. I've helped hundreds of Santa Clarita residents save their homes completely for free. I've got just over 20 years experience and a loan modification success rate of over 80%. I can negotiate better terms with your bank and I can save your home from foreclosure. And again, we do this completely for free. So if you're in any danger, please call me today at 661-714-1400. That number again is 661-714-1400. I'm Rich Sherman with Alta Realty. I'll be happy to help you save your home for free.
KHTS. Now FM, 98.1 FM, and AM 1220, your hometown station.
Welcome back, KHTS 1220 and 98.1 FM with my co-host, Alex Grossman, and my fabulous guest, Jill Tupper. Jill, you there?
I'm here.
You like the introduction?
Hello.
Maybe I can do the introductions for you at the next time we go to the Brady School. Okay.
Sounds like a plan.
So we were just discussing before the break, we were going over the three parts of your program, which are, if I'm not mistaken, the mind, the body, and business. Body being
but
fitness.
It does start with the body. Body, mind, business.
Okay. So I had to interrupt you because my engineer would not allow me to continue. He just basically said, Peter, I'm going to have to pour this bottle of water over your head if you don't stop. So I was forced to. I tried, but he would not allow me.
No worries.
We got interrupted. It's all his fault.
No worries.
Anyway,
all good.
So let's go back. I think we're still talking about the part A. So let's go back to there if we finish.
Sure. So the body really, ultimately, I always start there. And I start there because we need to see, feel, notice a difference in our physical body. So that's where I really start, and I help people design a personal wellness plan for peak performance. But that is aligned to what their definition of well-being is, not whatever any magazine or any should list anywhere. I do not want people to shit on themselves. I want them instead to be very, very clear about value linking. So that's why I take them through a process. The second piece, then, once you start to make a little bit of movement, one thing you stick with, that's it, one thing, the mind. And that's about really training the mind to be present, not swirling. So we allow it to swirl to such a degree that it creates a frenetic piece. Nothing then, we cannot tell if anything's a priority. And that is really overwhelming people today. I think that's one of the biggest culprits. But if you look at any Olympic athlete, when they're resting, they're resting. When they are on that balance beam, they're 100%, their mind is engaged with their body. We, on the other hand, can be physically somewhere and supposed to be working on something, but then our heads are down and our minds are on our phone or whatever else. So that level of distraction takes us off of peak performance. And then finally, the business is really aligning a sense of mindful productivity with the power of purpose. So there's a huge power that comes when you are clear about your purpose in your business, in your life professionally and personally. And then we help you start to tap into what your goals are with the guts and the grit to go the distance. Because I think, in my opinion, and this is just me, there's some great business strategies out there. This is not a strategy. There's nothing about this that I'm saying that's all that new. This is really about breaking it down to understand if you're here for the long haul, you're running a triathlon. I don't care who you are, what you're doing. Your body is important or you're not going to be here for the long haul. Your mind has got to be in the game if you want to be a success. And then aligning that with a sense of power, productivity, and purpose with your business is going to help you truly cross the finish line and go for the goal.
So how do you stay on point?
Well, it really is a process. I think you've got to narrow it down to one thing that you feel guided or led to do. And I take, again, people through a process for this because most of us, our minds are so critical that does not help us. So I try to help people learn to assess themselves through, I've got a wellness assessment that I take them through, but I want them to learn to assess through observation versus criticism. So often what they do is one small thing. It might be the water, like Alex has said, and you just carry that bottle and you begin to do that, and you just consistently do that. And at the same time, maybe he's drinking that water. He's actually putting his mind in a peaceful moment for that minute every time he's going to drink from that, and allows his mind just to be present or grateful or seeing how I can really see everything as an obstacle, or I could choose to see things as an opportunity. And what do they present for me? So it's really small things. Again, a long list, lots of things trying to shift at one time. The neuroscience has proven well beyond what we need to know is that you're going to get resistance. And then we wonder why people fall off their goals. It's because we've piled on too much and we're shoving and pushing ourselves rather than inviting ourselves to understand we are all triathletes, regardless of what you're doing.
I think that it's also another interesting thing is, yes, I think we're all triathletes, but we also know we take on too many things to do, we don't do anything well. And I think you had said that a little bit, right? You know, if you're going to be good at something, and maybe there's 2 or 3 things that you can excel at, you need to work on those. And if you try to work on too many things at once, just like in any business, you have to hire the right people to do the right job. Otherwise, you're not going to educate yourself on how to do finance in a week, right? If that's not what your goal is,
Right.
your expertise. If you're a salesperson, be the best salesperson you can be, right? And
That's
hire
right.
someone
That's
else
right.
to do that. So I think, and also that reduces that stress that you talked about, because
Right.
you're good at what you know how to do, not just what you think you know how to do.
Right. And again, I think the reason we can't think clearly, the reason we're on so much overwhelm and people are dealing with such exorbitant amounts of stress more than any other day and age is because we're not taking that mindful moment, whether it's drinking the water, to settle down enough to be able to then recognize what really is a priority. And I get it. I'm a single solo mom with an entrepreneur. Let me tell you, I get it. You're juggling so much at one time, you just can't see straight. And that is when I can't see straight. I cannot sustain that. None of us can. Our bodies will totally collapse in some level of exhaustion or breakdown or overstress. It just happens. So we have a limited capacity, and we need to pay attention to that. And this is a true example of you can, and I know it seems impossible when you're really on overwhelm. You're listening to me going, no way, Tupper, no way, I do not believe you. Jill, there's no way that's true. But the truth is it is. It really is. Once you start to practice it, you can actually let go of things that you thought you couldn't.
So let's say you have a boss and he's giving you 10 projects to do, and he's giving it you to finish them in 30 days. And there's no way you're going to be able to finish them all. How are you going to balance yourself then?
Well, again, I mean, it sounds elementary. So this is those things that you're just going to go, come on, you're a broken record. But you better make sure that you're doing something to care for your body, whether it's sleep, water, workout, nutrition. There's plenty of information out there on what to do. Pick something, because you got to start aligning the body so it's healthier. You've got to get your mind on point. And then you're going to think clear, and you're going to be able to be in a place where you can go and present, hey, I'm going to do these 5 really well. Or this isn't going to happen, and you'll be able to stand up to what you can and can't do. I think there's a lot of respect for people who do something very well rather than it's just kind of, when you are working from overwhelm, your work is less than fabulous.
So if somebody wanted to take your class and they're not part of Boeing company and they don't have a company, they're either a small business owner or something, how can they do that?
Well, I actually teach at the Rady Business School of Management, UCSB. So on February 27th, I have my Mindful Productivity and the Power of Purpose course. And anyone can come down to San Diego. It's 8 to noon. And we will, everything I talk about, we practice in that moment. So you're going to walk away transformed. It's just not me downloading information. You're going to be engaged. You're going to be present. You're going to be there. The second course I have is in March, which is March 19th, and that is a mini version of my Corporate Triathlete Body, Mind, Business, and that's from 8 to 5 on Tuesday, the 19th of March. And then I have a course that people have just loved, which I love doing, and again, we practice right then and there. It's April 16th. It's Conquering Digital Distractions and how to really be present and productive.
Hold on a second.
And again,
I need to put my phone down. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, I need that right now. That's exactly a course I can't miss.
You know what? I don't know anyone who doesn't need it. And the fun thing is when you go in and do it with an executive team or you have individuals come, we're going to work on it right then and there. And it's fun when you start seeing how we're all stuck in the same ways, We may have a little bit of nuances, but I think mostly, again, we go to value linking as why we want to. No one disagrees with me that we're all distracted by our technology. It's just what's going to matter enough to you to want to begin to take one practice on consistently. So, for example, at Boeing, I have there are a lot of engineers and managers in the courses, and so, one comes up to me and says, Jill, I got to tell you, I dreaded taking your course. I'm an engineer, and you've got this fluffy stuff, and I didn't know. And he goes, you know what? I was utterly transformed by your course. He said, you absolutely harness the power of being present, and you taught me something that I'm really moving forward with. And that was, I realized I had never really practiced being present. And that one thing. But when you're in the setting together and we can work through this, it makes sense. And I've got another young, this was a millennial who was in the course, and he said, it was the Conquering Digital Distractions course, and they said, I got to tell you, Jill, I was just, eating dinner on my phone or watching TV, and I've decided with my wife that we are going to actually be present and engaging during that time. That was his choice of what he wanted to do moving forward, not my choice. I didn't tell him that he should or this is what you've got to do. Through the process, that's what he discovered was the most meaningful for him professionally as well as personally. And he saw a dramatic increase in his own life. And he goes, I think it's changed not only his marriage, but his profession. He now can see priorities more clearly. So it's an exciting thing. I think we're longing for this. If I'm really honest, we all know we're not human doings. We're human beings. But we don't get how to get there because our lists are ridiculously long and no one's capable of accomplishing them.
So how does this differ from time management?
Well, I think it's different, but because it's an inside-out job. You get into what matters to you. It's not me telling you, here's how you manage your time. Good luck with that. I don't do it that way. I take people through a process so they discover what's out of whack within themselves, why they want to shift it, what values matter that they're going to gain from it long term. And then there's all the buy-in and motivation you need. We've got plenty of shoulds in the world. Nobody needs one more. And we've got a closet full, and it really does just drain people. But if there's something you genuinely want once we go through the process together and you're like, I really want this, it's so incredible to make it possible.
Okay, so I want to go, some of our listeners are mom and pop stores. They're not working for Boeing. So how is this going to help the person who owns the furniture store down the street on Main Street?
Mm-hmm. Well, probably the same way it helps me. I mean, at the end of the day, you've got a limited amount of energy. And people think money is the only currency. Well, it's not. There's physical energy, emotional energy, mental energy, relational energy. At the end of the day, you've got to recognize, I understand how hard it is to be balancing it all yourself. But I also get that if I don't work at bringing what I call these parts of me into sync, my body, my mind, my business, into sync that really align with my integrity, what I know matters most, things will not all get done. But I'll be much more peaceful about what doesn't get done and much more successful in what does. So this is birthed out of my experience. I love that people like Boeing and Edison and McDonald's and, American Express are loving it. That's all great. But at the end of the day, they're all individuals too. They're individuals there figuring life out. And we have, I think, as entrepreneurs and small businesses, I think it's even more challenging for us because we never really go home and turn it off. We live it. It's usually often birthed from our own passion. So, on the one hand, I love that about what we get to do. At the same time, there's only so much capacity. What do you want out of life? How do you want to live it? And let's bring these puppies in sync.
So, I want to go still a little further. Okay. So I own this furniture store, all right? And I understand what you're saying about the body, the mind, and the business. But give me a practical way of how this is going to help me. Some practical ways of how is that going to make my business more successful? And I'm not only looking at it monetarily.
Okay. So based on what habits you choose to integrate in your life, okay, those being done on a consistent basis, there is no possible way that success isn't increased. Productivity is increased. Stress is decreased. And so if you're looking for me saying, here's the specific tool to put into place for body, the specific tool to put in place for mind, the specific one, I can make suggestions, but I really prefer people going through the process and deciding for themselves. And in fact, I will have up on my website, which might be helpful for people. We're just redesigning it as we speak, but a gift there's basically 3 steps, to really center yourself. And one will be body, one is mind, and one is business. And that's a good starting point for people.
So, Jill, it kind of comes down to that focus thing again, right? It's always about if you're more focused and you have it more together, as you said, you're always going to do better at it because you're not, your distractions aren't there. You're dedicated to do it. I mean, I think one of the problems that a lot of small business people run into is that it just seems overwhelming. When you first start the business, you're excited, you're ready to go for it. And like in my case, you've got one page, you maybe got 3 things on your yellow pad on the first page. And then, after 3 months in, all of a sudden those responsibilities you didn't have, you had 1 customer. Now you got 100 or 1,000.
Right.
And you got 1 million people feeding. And the more people you hire, the more stress you get because now you just added boss to your list. And all, I had a really good boss at one time that said, every person you hire, their problems become yours. You just add their problems to your problems, right? And so I think that a lot of that is there. So when you talk about body, mind, in business and being fit and staying there, I think it relates to it. So to Brian's question, just to add on a little bit, if someone takes one of your courses, they get through this, they make that investment in it. Do you have examples of people who have come to you afterward or sent you an email afterward and said, hey, this helped?
We're going to have to hold that thought, and we're going to come right back with the answer. So you better be waiting.
The best live theater can be found right here in the Santa Clarita Valley. The Canyon Theater Guild has been entertaining audiences for decades with top-quality musicals and plays. Located on Main Street in Old Town Newhall, CTG also offers workshops for the young actor in your family. For more information, call the box office at 799-2702 or go online to canyontheater.org.
There is only one language spoken at Thai Dish, and it sounds something like this.
This is great.
Once people get a taste of Thai dishes, there's really no reason to do any more talking. Make it full of flavor, make it delicious, only at Thai Dishes. Enjoy the atmosphere, love the food. Thai Dishes on Valencia Boulevard for free delivery, 253-FOOD. That's 253-FOOD.
Finding the right lawyer can be a challenge, but in Santa Clarita, there's no need to search when there's Hacker Law Group, Santa Clarita's premier litigation firm. Jeffrey Hacker has represented celebrities, financial institutions, accident victims, real estate developers, realtors, contractors, businesses, nonprofit organizations, and other individuals and companies with their legal challenges. Mr. Hacker is one of Santa Clarita's leaders, consistently listed as one of our most influential. When everything is on the line and you need legal counseling, visit hackerlawgroup.com.
Santa Clarita's hometown station. Hometown station.
KHTS AM 1220 and the new 98.1 FM.
Welcome back. We only got a few minutes left, so we're going to make every second count on the Ask Brien, AskBrien.com. And you're listening to KHTS 1220 and 98.1 FM. Alex, you were just finishing up an awesome question. Jill was waiting this whole 2-minute break to give out the answer. So, Jill, if you don't know, Alex can repeat himself. Otherwise, Jill, go ahead and let's get to the answer to that question.
Well, I really get that overwhelm is probably the number one thing, and that huge list. So basically what happens, where are you on that list? Alex, when you've got that list that grew and grew and grew, where were you on the list?
I was in the most stressed place I could be, and you find yourself jumping around to handle things in the list and usually getting none of it done because you procrastinate on the things that are hard and you jump on the things that are easy.
But there's probably one person missing on that list, and it was you. That's what I'm trying to say. You're missing
Always
on the list.
me.
So
Absolutely.
one thing at the top of the list, the practical thing everyone can do walking away from this is one thing, first off in the morning, that you can do that will strengthen your body, your mind, all aspects of who you are. That's the first and foremost thing that you need to do. You have to be at the top of your list. Doesn't mean you're going to get all of it done, but you got to do something to center yourself, strengthen yourself, whether that's a 30-minute walk, that's the 3-minute meditation, whether that is a 30-minute workout, whatever it is, that you are first, center yourself, mind and body, and then you'll be able to prioritize with greater ease, effectiveness, and insight than you ever could without investing in you first.
Alex, you there?
I think that's 100% right. I had to think about that a little bit. It's 100% right that that's the place you have to start. It all starts with you, right? You can't fix your problems and other people's problems as well until it's you. Now, the next question I was asking, Jill, was, so have people come back? You've taught these courses. You've done a lot. I've seen some of these beautiful keynotes you've done. You've got up there. Have people come to you afterward and said, "Hey, Jill, you changed my life," or have they said, "Hey, Jill, I did everything you said and none of it worked"? What's your usual response?
I think people. You're not wanting to. I think I'm so present. I really practice being the entire power of being present, whether it's on this call, whether it's at a keynote, whether it's with a client. I am there present. And I think that's where the magic happens. That's the transformative power. And because of that, they're compelled to be present. So whether it's an audience member, whether it's a CEO, where I sit down and literally walk through their schedule with them, and guess who we put on the schedule first? Them. They are on the schedule first. And we're not talking 3 hours. I'm talking 30 minutes. I'm talking sometimes even 3 minutes. 3 minutes that you are focused on you, investing in the only thing you have. If you don't invest in you, you don't have energy, you're not going to sustain whatever it is. It's impossible. That's the impossibility. So I get accolades all the time. It is not me that transforms people's lives. It's them. And while I appreciate that they may think I hang the sun, moon, and stars, the truth is they hang the sun, moon, and stars. They were open enough to say, enough of the chaos, enough. I'm going to let go of overwhelm. I'm going to invest in myself, and I'm going to make that transformation. So it may look different for each individual, but at the end of the day, I'm just grateful for the opportunity to inspire, motivate, challenge others and myself to really live professionally as well as personally our peak potential. It is sustainable.
So I have a two-part question. We only have 2.5 minutes left, so what we can answer. Are you referring to meditation when you're spending this 3 minutes or 30 minutes in the beginning of the day to figure it out? Is that meditation or is it different than meditation? And two,
go ahead.
And then the second part of the question is, what's the most difficult part for you of the whole program? What's the most difficult part for you?
Good question. Yes, I call it a 3-minute vacation. And again, that should be back on the website next week. If people want to go on for that free gift, it's jilltupper.com. And that might help them because that's going to give them the 3-minute that I've taught CEOs, stay-at-home moms, entrepreneurs, and I came up with it out of desperation for myself. Practiced it. It was transformative, and I still practice it to this day. So meditation, mindfulness is not a one-size-fits-all. I don't buy it. Don't ever let anyone tell you there's only one way to do it, and it's 30 minutes strict morning and night. It's not like that. For me, I would say I've always had my eyes bigger than my schedule. I'm wired with high energy, but I have literally collapsed with pneumonia. I have had adrenal fatigue because I'm not listening, and because I dropped from the top of my list. So I practice what I share. I've gone through it. I live it. It's not pretty, but I am in the game to do exactly that which I am challenging others to do as well.
And so we have exactly 1 minute left. What is the best piece of advice you could provide somebody?
The best piece of advice, invest in yourself, even though you don't think there's a nanosecond for it. One thing every day for you, beginning of your day, 3 minutes to 30 minutes, that's the most important thing. And you do that consistently, overwhelm will begin. I promise you, it will begin to fade. And you will begin to feel more productive and see things more clearly. It's just basic neuroscience.
Well, that's about all we have for the show today. Thank you very much, Jill. Listening
Sure.
KHTS 1220 and 98.1 FM.